The chair recognizes the gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Courtney, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to spend a few minutes to talk about a visit to Connecticut last week by President Biden on October 15th, where he actually put the eyes of the country for a couple of hours on a critical issue which his Build Back Better agenda is focused on fixing, which is namely the crisis in child daycare all across the country. On Friday, myself and my colleagues, as well as President Biden, visited the Capital Child Development Center, where the Executive Director, Barbara Jo Warner, laid out very clearly the dilemma that herself and her colleagues who are in this very struggling sector are faced with today. Before COVID, her center had 70 slots for children, completely full with a waiting list. Today, they have 20 children in the same daycare center. Is it because there's no demand? No, that's not the case. There still is a waiting list of families who are trying to get their kids into daycare. But her problem is that the staffing that she had prior to COVID has severely diminished in her ability to attract people back into her program is limited by the fact that she's only able to offer $13 an hour as a starting wage for people in a very important job for our country as well as the families of the children that they take care of. So we're in a situation where they're in a place where McDonald's pays more at $15 an hour than a daycare center at $13 an hour. It's a problem which is, I think, one of the reasons why the jobs recovery has stalled, particularly for families and women heads of household who just, again, don't have centers with slots available because of the staffing problem that Ms. Warner described to the President and to the world on Friday. The Build Back Better legislation, which he discussed, finally out of a different kind of context in terms of the horse race down here and who's up, who's down, which factions negotiating what, focused on the content of the Build Back Better legislation, which is addressed to provide a huge infusion of support for our daycare sector. What that provision will do is cap the amount of out-of-pocket for families who are using child daycare at 7% of income. Today, the low and middle income families spend between 14 and 35% of their income on daycare. So if we get this through, we are immediately going to provide savings for families with their kids in daycare. In Connecticut, looking at a family making $87,000 a year, that basically would result in weekly savings of $175 a week, which is definitely a huge boost in terms of working families and middle-class families, which this bill will provide. Again, I want to emphasize, this is not a Connecticut problem. This is happening all across the country, and the median or the average salary for daycare centers across the country is actually $12 an hour, a little lower than what the President heard about on Friday. So if we're serious about a real job recovery and giving families the opportunity to really go back to work, why don't we listen to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the largest business organization in the country, which recognized during COVID that support for child daycare is essential in terms of trying to get working-age families back into the workforce. Again, the openings are there. I could walk through employers in the state of Connecticut. Electric Boat in my district has about 500 job openings right now. They want to get those Gen Zers and millennials, trained up and ready to go. But if they don't have a place for their children to be cared for safely and adequately, then we are just basically in a cul-de-sac where this economy is going to be held back. The Build Back Better agenda is not soft infrastructure. It is right at the heart of whether or not we are going to, as a country, fully recover and grow in the wake of this pandemic. And it is something that hopefully every member, when the time comes for this package, when that daycare provision is included in there, will think about long and hard, because this is not a Connecticut-only issue. This affects every state, red and blue, every district, red and blue, every employer, red and blue areas of the country. And it really is, if anyone can't support that, then they're not serious about really helping this country recover from the pandemic. Again, I want to thank the President for coming out and really focusing like a laser on this issue, and I want to thank Executive Director Barbara Jo Warner for her clear message to the country, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The chair recognizes the gentleman